Hello, I'm Denise Galoni. Several years ago, I decided to start my own home-based business. I had so many wonderful women help me along the way. I decided to create this show to introduce you to some of those women so they can inspire and empower you. On today's episode, my two guests are Marcy Smorey of Smorey Gigger Law and Jill Yesko. Jill's a certified professional organizer and the president of Discover Organizing Incorporated. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'm here today with Marcy Smorey. Marcy is the attorney owner of Smorey Gigger Law. She is also a law professor at the University of Pittsburgh and Duquesne University. Marcy is a combined intelligence partner with Legal Sifter. Hi, Marcy. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Denise. I'm glad to be here.
I'm so happy you're here. So much to talk about. Can you tell the audience a little bit about your background?
Gladly. So I am a native Pittsburgher.
Okay.
And after law school, began my career in corporations. So I spent more than 20 years in corporate law departments, practicing law to the benefit of the business. And my most recent position in-house was with a company that was in the healthcare and technology field.
Okay.
And my role there allowed me to, because it was a public company, build a law department from scratch and apply all my years of experience as a business lawyer.
Wow.
After my role ended there is when I decided I really wanted to use all of this experience and all of this education to give back. So I started teaching at Pitt and Duquesne. I teach a couple different business-oriented law classes there. And it's then when I founded my firm with the idea that, once again, all of this business experience that I have and being able to use it to benefit the small business owner. Lots of small and even medium-sized companies don't have the ability to have a law department down the hall.
Right.
And so they still need that trusted legal advice.
Sure.
So I put myself in a position to be able to do that using all of my experience.
So when did you start your own company?
A couple of years ago now. Yeah, and I've been teaching for about 5 years as well.
Okay. So what do you specialize in your company? I know you do a lot of different things, but you said you help the small business owner.
Primarily, yes. So all things business. So I can help a startup create a strong business foundation, put a legal entity in place. I can help businesses review all of their operations to find out where they can mitigate some risk, where they can make things more profitable. Commercial contracts is a significant part of business operations, so I do a lot of contract work.
I bet. And like you said, it's hard because when you're a small business owner or a solopreneur, you have nowhere to go.
That's exactly right. Resources are limited and you do a lot of things yourself, so finding trusted advisors who can help you in areas that are, can be very risky, it certainly pays off.
Especially because you could do your own research, of course, but there's things that you don't know.
True.
Laws change all the time, I imagine.
They do.
So you really need to have someone trusted that you can talk to. Marcy, there may be some people watching that are interested in starting their own business, or maybe they've started and they're struggling a little bit. Can you give them some tips, what they should think about before they start their business, or maybe they're in the early stages of their business?
Absolutely. So business risk is one of the things that you can take a lot of effort to identify and then even more effort to try and avoid it or, if necessary, just minimize it.
Right.
And the primary goal would be to protect your assets,
Sure.
both your personal assets, all of the things that you've worked so hard to acquire in your life, your savings, your investments, your home, and make sure that they are not at risk for your business liabilities. Similarly, all of your business assets and wanting to protect them from your business risks as well. So there are three primary ways that you can protect those assets. The first would be by putting a legal entity in place, and I think we're going to talk a little bit about that. The second way would be to make sure that the contracts that govern all of the buying and selling between businesses, including the suppliers and the customers, are properly aligned with wherever the risk truly falls.
Okay.
For example, if my client is buying manufactured goods from someone else and simply reselling them, they shouldn't be responsible for product liability and design defects because they aren't the ones who are in control of that. So we make sure the contracts are properly aligned, limitations of liability, indemnification, all of those key features. And then the third layer would be if something goes sideways, negligence,
Yes.
accidents.
It happens.
Things just
Right.
sometimes go wrong.
Right.
And then you look for insurance. So you look to have a legal entity, have contracts in place, and then insurance if things are of an accident nature.
You talk about different business entities. Are you talking about like LLC and S Corp? And can you just, I know there's so much for each of them, just a little description of what they are in case someone's curious. Because I know some people are LLCs, I'm an S Corp, there's so many different things.
There really is, and there's a lot of variability between state laws, which entities are governed by state law, as well as the different entity types. And what I encourage people to do at a minimum is to actually create the legal entity as compared to a sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorships, there's no protection for personal assets.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
So once you go beyond that point and create a legal entity, it comes down to what's most important to the owners. It may be how the entity is formed, how expensive it is to manage that administration. It may relate to the liability not only from the business to the owners, but between owners and wanting to avoid creating an opportunity for loss from what others in your business ownership might do.
Right.
Certainly there are how the entity management is structured becomes a factor. Succession planning. Do you want to be able to exit the business at any time? Do you want to be able to pass on your ownership to your heirs? And certainly tax treatment, that becomes a really big issue as well.
And there's a lot.
There
I know
is.
when I started, everyone said, just start up yourself. And I did. And I went to an attorney because there was just so many different things.
It's important
And
to
sometimes
analyze.
the cheap comes out expensive because if you do something wrong, you get penalized.
It's true. It's worth it to invest in a really strong structure to get started.
It really is. If someone did have questions, do you have consultations that you give with people, or how does that work if someone does have a question about?
Oh, absolutely. I am very eager to talk to new business owners and even existing business owners. I like to provide them with a few minutes to understand what's on their mind, what's concerning them, and then to the extent that we have an opportunity to work together, we engage in that attorney-client relationship and get started.
Okay, great. And we'll have all your information on the show so they can see
Wonderful.
that. Artificial intelligence and contracts. What is that?
So I am privileged to be a partner with an advanced and artificial intelligence software company here in Pittsburgh named Legal Sifter. And they have developed all of the technology with machine learning or natural language processing, all the fancy math and the algorithms to actually be able to sift through contracts, identifying various different provisions and being able to analyze lengthy and voluminous contracts in a very efficient way. So we take that AI technology and we couple it with my business advice. So when you utilize the software, you actually get the AI review and Samora Giger Law legal advice where you can have an efficient legal advice on a contract in a moment's notice at a very efficient price point.
That's amazing.
It is. It's
So
really
I've signed some
fascinating.
contracts. They were 15, 16 pages long, and there's so much legal ease in there.
So this is a great tool for not only small businesses that could have limited resources, don't want to spend weeks and or hundreds of dollars with outside counsel trying to review any one contract, but it's also a really good tool for procurement departments or even sales force departments where they've got lots of people, lots of contracts, and have lots and lots of volume of the same repetitive contractual work.
Are most contracts the same, just some of the details different?
Well, it depends on the nature of whatever's being addressed in
Right.
the contract, but there are certainly some consistencies and things that, depending on the company's risk profile, a way that they want to handle their contract, some particular approach that they'd like to take, and we can make that consistent throughout.
Okay. I work a lot with health industries.
Oh,
so the
sure.
contracts are really long with
They
protected
tend to
health
be.
information. So that's really interesting. Is that something new? I've never heard of that before.
So Legal Sifter is very forward-thinking because they are using AI in the legal space. There's very little artificial intelligence in the legal community today, so that's definitely groundbreaking. And we've actually advanced the product beyond just being able to negotiate one-to-one and put it in place for any one business, but we've actually put online, and it's available on my website, a self-service tool, meaning that any individual, whether they be a business owner or not, or even a department head, can go onto my website and immediately have access to the software, which includes the AI and my legal counsel, for a modest monthly fee, and have unlimited access to the the tool. And there's also a free trial available if they want to just test it out and see how it works.
That's amazing, Marcy.
Thank
You have to be so excited about
It
that.
is. It's very exciting to be part of the Legal Sifter team and what we're doing, and the potential that it really can serve so many legal needs, particularly for small businesses that don't have all those resources that big businesses do.
Right. And that's a Pittsburgh company?
It is.
Oh, interesting. So you do so much. You teach classes, you have your law firm, you're involved with the artificial intelligence. What's next for Marcy Smorey?
Thank you. So I launched Smorey Giger Law Essentials, which is the artificial intelligence software solution, late last year. So my focus this year is going to be on raising awareness. There are so many benefits of using the software as a true solution for small business and even big business.
Right.
But most people don't know it's out there, or know how they could use it, or really the true return on investment. So I'm interested in getting the word out.
Any final thoughts for the audience that's watching that may be intimidated by some of the legalities, I should say, of small businesses?
Yeah, I think the best thing that you can do to position yourself strong in your business is to look out for protecting your personal assets, of course, but within your business to understand what the risks are, where is there any opportunity for harm or loss or liability, and try to reduce that as much as possible, primarily through contracts. Make sure you actually have written agreements and not just handshakes. Keep those records in case a dispute arises, and whenever possible, take that risk and shift it to someone else, whether it be the one it belongs with, or whether it be an insurance company or someone else, and try to make it as profitable as possible by preventing harm.
That is excellent advice. Thank you so much for being here and explaining some of the legalities, because it gets kind of confusing sometimes.
I appreciate it.
Thank
you
you
for having
so
me.
much. My guest is Jill Yesko. Jill is a certified professional organizer and the president of Discover Organizing Incorporated. Hi, Jill. Thanks for being here.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here now because it's January.
Yes.
This is probably one of your biggest times.
It is. It is. It's called Get Organized Month, actually.
Oh, really?
The National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals, they coded that name and came up with that name a long time ago so that everyone would be really focused in January on getting organized, kind of a good jump start for the year.
Right. Well, thank you for taking time to be here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So what is your background? What is a certified professional organizer?
Well, the background is not that exciting. I was in social work, and then I was in human resources for a psychiatric hospital. So I've always stayed in the clinical services and social services.
Right.
And I think that really prepared me for this role as a professional organizer.
Sure.
The certification came in, I think our inaugural class took the test in 2007. So basically what that requires is a lot of hours in the field, 1,500 hours, and then we sit for an exam, and then after we pass, we then have to keep up our continuing education credits. So every 3 years we submit those credits for approval and we continue our certification. So it is a lot of field work, it's a lot of experience, but we do have to take project management very seriously, learning styles, and then of course best practices for professional organizers.
And that's something probably we don't think about, project managing skills. Because you think, oh, but that's probably so important in your business.
It really is, because with senior move management, which is the other part of my business, we are managing many moving pieces. It's not just the move itself and preparing for the move, but it's also getting into feeling compassion for these people that are really, really struggling to make this huge move from their home of 52 years to a small apartment with a bunch of strangers. So it's project management but it's also emotions management, if that makes sense.
So when did you start that part of your business?
About 6 years ago. We've been in business for 15 years,
Okay.
and I saw the trend with all the baby boomers retiring, and
Right.
yes, that was going to be, I knew, we call it the silver tsunami in our business, because we saw these baby boomers retiring, but their parents are still alive, and they're healthy, and they're thriving, and they were going to downsize. So the baby boomers themselves are trying to downsize, but now they're still helping their parents, which they didn't expect. So we're kind of managing a lot with them right now. And it's a very exciting time because there are so many new housing opportunities cropping up in Pittsburgh.
Oh, there's so many. Mm-hmm. And that's it. They said the baby boomers, they're retiring and their parents are still around.
Yeah, they are. And they're doing great. I'm working with a 75-year-old woman right now who's helping her 96-year-old mother transition. And she's transitioning herself. So that's kind of interesting.
It's probably hard too, because sometimes people, if they live in the same house for 50 years or so, they have a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah. And we always like to say, in my company, we always say, we understand that these things are witnesses to your life, that these things went on your journey with you, and you're used to looking at them, and they have significance. But if we could pare down the most important things and take those things with you, let's do that. And let's make sure that we honor the other items by storytelling, by giving them some type of honor and memory, and giving them a special place, even if it isn't your house anymore. Maybe it's someone else's home that could really enjoy it, but please tell me the story. Always ask about the story, and it really helps with releasing the item.
That's beautiful, Jill. That really is.
Thank you.
That probably makes them feel so much better.
It does, as long as we respect what they're going through and we don't say, get rid of it, throw it away, it doesn't mean anything. Because
Right.
they're used to hearing that from maybe a well-intentioned family member
Sure.
who's very stressed out,
Right.
trying to meet their own deadlines, care for their own family, their own sandwich generation issues, right, between their adult children and then
Yeah.
their parents, and then maybe there's health issues, maybe there's dementia. So we really work very hard at educating the families too on what dementia looks like, what Alzheimer's looks like, what normal memory loss looks like, what normal aging looks like. So all of my staff members, we have about 15 people now, everyone has to go through an education career ladder in order to become a team leader or a project manager on a team. So whoever hires us understands they're getting someone that knows what they're doing.
Right. And that's where your background comes in.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And the HR side is good too, the
Yes.
human resources side, because I know a lot about employment law and training and compliance and making sure that staff feel
Right.
developed and cared for.
What made you decide to start your own company?
Well, the short answer is I was the last mom picking up at the daycare. I was working very hard as a single mom, and I had 2 kids that were the last kids there. And they would be sitting there with their little backpacks on the little bench at the extended daycare in Mount Lebanon. And that was really hard because I was running in with my briefcase, running off, getting off the phone and running into the daycare saying, I'm so sorry. And I said, enough.
Yeah.
And so I created a company that would allow me to be there
Right.
from the minute, I dropped them off at school.
Sure.
And I could be present in my business, but then I could be a present parent from 3:15 on, and that was extremely important to me.
I'm sure there's so many people watching that feel that same thing.
Yes.
Running, just that balance, running back and forth.
I had no balance. And I only got to see my children for 2 hours a night. And I
Right.
think that was really hard. And I think we have that push-pull as parents. I don't care if you're a mother or a father and you're single or you're married and you have that incredibly demanding work schedule. And then to be able to change that was extremely powerful for me.
Yeah. Great incentive. So it's January.
Yes.
Everybody needs to start getting organized.
Yes.
Can you just give us a few quick tips?
Yes.
Because it's so overwhelming.
It is. It is.
You look at
People
your
ask
house
me,
and you think, oh my gosh, how do I start?
where do I start? It's the number one question is where do I start? So
Yes.
the best place to start is in a storage area, much like a basement or an attic or someplace you have lovingly placed things over the years and you've put things away and away and away and under and down and in and back. So I ask you to dig out those areas first because you're creating space, which a lot of us don't do very often is create the space. So we're making space for a new maybe a theme or maybe a new hobby or something else that you've liked, or more memorabilia that you've not really dealt with in your current active living space. So I always say work left to right, top to bottom, make a decision, set a timer. So always set a timer, give yourself that limit of 30 seconds to set the timer and get your things all set up, but then set the timer for a good 45 minutes. That's realistic. Some people say, oh, you can do it in 15 minutes, and I say, no. Like 45 minutes is a really good timer time because it takes you a couple minutes to get started. Always have your materials ready so you're not leaving the room for a bag or a box or a bin or a marker.
So it gets too distracted.
It does. So just have a little kit, have that bag, have that marker, have that bin, have all of your tools handy so that you don't have to leave your spot for 45 minutes, and really work left to right so you see where you left off the last time you were in your spot making that decision. And then be kind to yourself too. You know, losing weight, eating healthy, you know, changing habits. It's not easy, but we do have to take that time to address some of the old behaviors as well as the old stuff. And so when you're making the decision, really ask yourself the question, I'm sure you've heard it before, you know, when was the last time I really used this? When do I go for it? So the best trick I can share with your audience is to make sure that whenever you put something away, you put it away for retrieval. So only put it away if you really intend to go get it again. Some people put things away because there's a pretty basket, a pretty bin, or a shelf.
Right. I'll use it for something.
Or use it for something.
Right.
Right. I got to take up that space. But I strongly urge your audience to really consider before they put it away, to really think, am I going to access this again? And why do I need to access this again? Instead of reversing it and saying, when was the last time I used this? Maybe you can be more proactive about things. And same thing with shopping. If I go buy this big thing, you know, this new appliance for my kitchen, where is it going to go? And we don't ask that. We just are excited that we got 40% off.
Right.
So we're like, yay, and a coupon.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then my final big tip is, you know, to make a plan. Like actually, like whenever we do a renovation in our home or a remodel, or we go on a trip, we always make a plan. We make a list of some kind.
Right.
Or the project falls apart and we lose track of budget or we lose track of a material.
Sure.
So I just say treat this like any other project. Say, I'm going to organize my basement. What do I need to do here? And then track your donations. Track the things that you're taking to sell. And there's so many great resources in Pittsburgh.
There are.
To sell and donate. There's so many deserving charitable organizations that are more than happy to pick up. And a lot of people don't know about them.
Yeah. So what's next for Jill Yesco?
Well, I'm in the process of writing 2 different books for my industry. One is a book that I'm co-writing with a wonderful woman, Lorraine Kyle, and she and I are writing a book on
she's a good
aging.
Friend of mine.
Yes, she's lovely. And we're writing a book on aging successfully. And it's a decade by decade look at, you know, the way to age without, you know, regrets really, and taking care of your health and your home and being more organized and being more conscious of your wellness. And the other book is actually a little bit deeper in the mental health field, which is about chronic disorganization. The book is called I'm Right Here, and it's about helpers like myself or just people that are professional organizers that have a really good education in chronic disorganization and hoarding.
Yeah.
So I've interviewed 10 women that are leaders in their field, and we're hoping to bridge the gap between people believing that they're not, they don't have accessible assistance in getting help for their hoarding behaviors or their chronic disorganization due to some comorbidity, which means the 2 diagnoses of mental health, like depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder.
Sure.
They might have dementia if they're, you know, aging, and then they have clutter. So now we have 2 big problems. So this book is a really in-depth look at ways that those people are assisted and helped in the community.
Can't wait to read them.
Yeah,
thank you so much for taking the time to be here and giving such wonderful tips to help us get organized.
Thank you so much for having me.
I need you to hold me accountable now.
Okay, all right.
Everybody heard it.
Yes, everybody heard it right here.
Thanks, Jill. Thank you for watching today's episode of Empowering Women. I'd like to thank my guest, Marcy Smorey of Smorey Gigger Law, and Jill Yesco of Discover Organizing Incorporated. Both guests gave important information to help you feel inspired and empowered. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and see you next time.